Hey, what's up guys? It's me Anmurev again with another video. So this video is about character facts, where we talk about facts about your favorite anime characters. So if you want me to talk about your favorite anime character, feel free to comment down below on who you want me to do next. But for today's video is we're gonna talk about Edward Elric from the Fullmetal Alchemist series. So please don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you like this video and you want to see more of these kinds of video, and press the like button as well, and please follow my Facebook page to be notified for more upcoming videos. So let's go. So at number 10 is, it costs an arm and a leg. Even though the rules of alchemy were all pre-explained to Edward, he and his little brother Al still went ahead and pushed through with the human transmutation. Crossing that line had some consequences that, because of the risk, were unexpected and unexplored by most. The most interesting part of the transmutation attempt was that Edward's arm and leg were two separate translocations of alchemy's golden rule, which is equivalent exchange. His right arm and Alphonse's body were taken for the human transmutation, and Ed's left leg was taken for connecting Alphonse's soul to the armor. So at number 9 is we have Real Fear. In the FMA anime, the original one, not Brotherhood, Ed and Alphonse encountered the serial killer Barry the Butcher, who later becomes the soul-tethered armor number 66, face to face. The meeting was fairly early in Edward's career, and being so young, Edward really feared for his life in the fight. However, in FMA Brotherhood, they skipped the entire episode, and when number 66 finds Alphonse outside of Lab 5, he tells the ex-serial killer that he'd never even heard of him. Number 8. Silent Pain. Edward doesn't seem like the type to hide his feelings, but behind his many violent outbursts, Ed keeps the lid on a whole lot of his mind-bending pain. According to Pinnacle Rockbell, automale engineering patients are usually screaming like little girls, but Edward doesn't ever dare to. He believes Alphonse suffered greater pain, and keeps his mouth shut in respect of his disembodied brother. Even as a preteen, Edward kept his tears to himself, knowing that his own ambitions cost him and his brother such a hefty price. Number 7. Fullmetal Fashion. Okay, so we're talking drip now. With a name like the Fullmetal Alchemist, there's bound to be some interesting fashion choices that become signature of the title. The white gloves for making the automale arm blend in better, the scientifically fabulous red overcoat for the smart look, and the neatly braided hair to keep his Goldilocks under control. For a few moments though, Ed changed his hairstyle, favoring the ponytail instead of a usual braid. It may have been a complete coincidence, however, that Ed and Al's father, Hohenheim, wore his hair the same way, and that his name just happened to come up in conversation just before one of his hairdo changes. Number 6. The Hand of Death. Edward didn't get a free ride with the state alchemist by any means. He was an amazingly talented prodigy and had the art of alchemy built into his bones, being the son of Hohenheim. But Edward studied fervently to become the youngest state alchemist in history. In the original FMA anime, when Scar the Ishvalan began his revenge killing spree in Central, he and Ed crossed paths in non-lethal terms. Because Ed had left his alchemist watch behind and temporarily resigned from the military, Scar overlooked Edward as a victim. In the encounter, Ed acknowledged that he would very likely have died that day. Number 5. The Door of Truth. Edward had an obvious talent as well as strong attraction to the art of transmutation, since he had Alphonse found their father's notes when they were children. After their attempt to resurrect their mother, Edward was thrown into purgatory, where a rush of information seemed to be downloaded into his consciousness, which boosted his abilities. Finding himself at the Door of Truth, Edward was given the ability to understand complex alchemy, and therefore was able to know how to transmute his brother's soul to the suit of armor inherently, which is a much more advanced transmutation technique that even most adults don't even know without years of study. This was also the event that enabled Edward to perform alchemy transmutations by simply clapping his hands and without a transmutation circle. Number 4. The Burdensome Life of an Alchemist. Edward hides a great deal of pain. touching it out and continuing on his journey without ever shedding a tear or crumbling to the pressures. But that isn't to say Ed is the most unemotional type. since it was initially Ed's idea to push for the life of an alchemist and to attempt human transmutation. He carried a heavy burden of guilt because of what happened to his younger brother. Since the incident, Edward had wanted to ask if Alphonse held any feelings of contempt for him, but he was too afraid of what the answer might be. Number 3. Shortcomings. Edward knows full well that he's very short, and he's amazingly self-conscious about it. Even when his stature worked to his better while crawling through a ventilation system at Lab 5, Ed couldn't stand to make the direct acknowledgement of his height. A meeting with Dominic Lecoult, an automail mechanic living in Rush Valley, gave Edward a little bit of hope for his height. Lecoult informed Ed and Winry that the automail arm and leg being so heavy may have stunted his growth, prompting Edward to begin strategizing on the spot. Number 2 is we have love connection. Edward definitely has a soft spot for Winry, even if he shows it bitterly arguing with her, and despite being struck in the head with her wrenches from time to time. While studying at the Tucker mansion, Edward got caught trying to secretly write a letter to Winry. Normally, Ed and Al wouldn't contact their hometown outside of necessity, but this letter was actually a just because. Alphonse, catching him writing the letter, stirred up a little bit of trouble, of course, since the two had a subtle competition over who would end up marrying Winry. Number 1. Making peace. During the fight with the Slicer brothers, aka number 48, one of them took a shot at Edward, calling him a shrimp, and he actually didn't throw a temper tantrum about it. He was a bit on the ropes after all, dealing with blood loss, but there are a few very moments that Edward didn't lash out over a short joke right away. The fight at Lab 5 wasn't the only time Edward seemed to have gotten over his shortcoming. When hypothesizing on what may have happened to Alphonse's body, Ed gives an explanation on his shortness. Winry and Al both look at Ed thinking he made a positive step in self-acceptance. And that's all for today's video, guys. I hope you liked it and you learned something, and if you like more of these kinds of videos, please subscribe to my channel and don't forget to like and share this video, and I'll see you guys on the next one.